right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk 122 with your superintendent, Dr. Terrell Yarbrough. I am here with a very special guest who was very eager to be on here, by the way, to share all of the good things that are going on with food service. And so I'm really excited to have you here. So for the audience, if you want to give your name, how long you've been in the district, and we'll go from there.
Jill Mosher. I've been in this district, I think this is my 8th school year.
Okay. And then what's your title?
Director of Nutrition Services.
All right. So you're responsible for the meals that go out to all of the schools, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to admit that.
Oh, I mean, I'm still okay. I'm still okay with it. You know, we always have fond memories of when I was high school principal and the things that we can eat, taco bowls, things like that. Those are always going to be fan favorites. And so when you think about, how big your job is, and I'm going to start with that, right? Because trying to feed all of the kids in our school district it's no easy task, right? So if you could just describe quickly like your day-to-day and obviously the individuals who work under you and how important they are and what they do, both at the elementary level and the secondary level. You want to start there?
So our middle school does all the cooking for our elementary schools.
Okay.
So that's starts in the morning, probably about 6 in the morning, and our food's up by 9 in the morning to the elementary schools.
Okay.
And they really manage the day-to-day operations of the ordering in the schools.
Right.
I do the menus, so we have 3 different menus. We have our elementary, our middle school, and our high school menu. Mm-hmm. They all have different nutritional requirements.
Okay.
So the elementary is probably the hardest because we have to get food out that stays quality-wise. We never want to challenge the integrity of our food. So it's the hardest menu to do because little kids are pickier.
Okay.
And they don't get as many choices.
Right.
So things that go into their menu and thought process is how well does it hold up?
Okay.
Is it an item that they do like? And because we have so many requirements as far as colors of vegetables we have to serve, types of grains we have to serve, so many meats, proteins that we have to have on the menu, it gets a little challenging as far as creating something that our kids want.
Okay.
So one of the things that we do is try to offer as many fruits and vegetables during the day as possible so they have those choices.
Okay. No, that's awesome. And it's interesting, too, that you said that, because when you start talking about, like, the color and things like that, so dig deeper a little bit into that and explaining that, because my daughter, she's 9, right, and 4th grader, and the way that Beloit does it, the way she's in Beloit currently, because they're going to change their structure, but elementary goes up into 4th grade, and then she goes to middle school from 4 to 8, right? So the very first thing she said was, when she transitioned from elementary to middle school, was the lunches. It's awesome, the choices, right? Different choices, things like that. And so when you talk about the things, the requirements that you have to have, explain that a little bit when you're talking about like the color and things like that.
So one of the biggest is we have to have legumes. There has to be
Okay.
a certain amount of legumes on the menu every week.
Okay.
It's a hard item to do because most kids don't like beans.
Right.
And so my favorite story is I was at Olson, and we had hot dogs and baked beans, and I thought it was a killer menu.
Okay.
And the kids, whenever I'm in the school, always ask if I'm the new lunch lady. And I always respond yes. And
Yeah.
so I sat down with some 5th graders, and this kid told me how much he did not like the beans.
Okay.
They stink.
Right.
And none of his friends like them. And so I was like, all right, we're taking beans off the menu.
Okay.
Like, if somebody doesn't like something, we're going to try something else. So
Okay.
it was a lesson from a 5th grader, and I really did appreciate their feedback.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's asked for the baked beans back, so it was probably a really good choice.
Yeah.
But there we have to have a dark leafy green, so there has to be a broccoli or a salad. Red orange is probably our biggest one, so tomatoes and carrots. So that's why you see many carrots on the menu a lot, because it's an easy menu to distribute.
Okay.
But yeah, there has to be so many colors, and then that's throughout the week. And what we try to do is balance it with something else that the kids might like
Gotcha.
on the fruit size, because they have to take a fruit or a vegetable.
Okay, perfect. Now, I like what you said when you said you talked to the 5th grader, and the 5th grader had an example, or request no more beans, and you listened and things like that. And so, on the flip side of that, what have you encountered, like when you talk to kids, like the favorite things that they like to eat? Like, if they can have those things on the menu, what are they?
Chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets,
And
okay.
confetti pancakes.
Confetti pancakes.
Yeah.
Okay. Chicken nuggets and confetti pancakes. What about the older levels?
Chicken bowl at the high school.
Okay.
We did try the chicken bowl at the middle school, and it didn't go over as well as we thought it would.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
New, probably because it was so new.
Right.
And I think a lot of kids don't like their menu items mixed together.
Okay.
And that was a mixed item, so
Interesting.
it was new for them.
Gotcha. No, that's interesting because like you're alluding to, like different levels like different things, right? And so I would like to go and now interview the high school kids, obviously who were in middle school and say, hey, in middle school you didn't like chicken bowls. What do you think now, right? Like and that sort of thing. And so let's go into and I know this is a bad word for a lot of people, but let's go into COVID, right? And there were still some things that your department had to do, even though we were online learning, things like that, as far as making sure that our families still had access to meals, right? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So COVID was one of those, there was no rules to anything. We didn't have any guidelines or any processes in place for it. So we just kind of jumped in and we were trying to figure out what meal system works, pick up every day, pick up every 3 days.
Okay.
And then we kind of figured out maybe pick up once a week was the best for most parents in this situation. So it was a trial and error, and then I think the 5-meal pack, 5 breakfast and 5 lunches pickups worked the best for us. But that took a lot of coordinating. We weren't really getting trucks. Items were limited, so we were trying to use as much as we had in-house and only buy the needed items.
Okay.
But COVID brought a whole new world even after we were back in school. Like, we couldn't get clamshells to deliver our food to the kids. And so I remember Jen and my admin drove trucks all around town picking up styrofoam containers.
Okay.
And Home Depot was our saver on that one.
Yeah.
We got them by the pallets.
Awesome. I, for one, because just seeing you and people within your department helping out and continuing to feed families and make sure meals were prepared and given out, I think it was just awesome, right? And we got positive feedback for that. So I appreciate you all doing that and continuing to do that. And so now let's have a little fun, right? So we talked a little about serious things, but let's have some fun with you now. So when you were a kid, right, which wasn't that long ago, right?
I appreciate that.
Okay. When you thought about what you wanted to be when you grew up, right? Did you ever imagine yourself doing this? And if not, or if so, why?
No, honestly.
Okay.
There's a part of me that wanted to be a teacher for a really long time.
Okay.
But then I became very passionate about food, and I took a totally different route. But I started after that. I actually went to radiology school. So I took a whole nother curve after adventures.
Wow.
I did a year at radiology school before I decided I missed that industry.
So radiology, food, like, okay, all right, that's good. Okay, so when you think about that, and this not being, the career that you thought you were going to end up in, but along the way, this is your path. And that's a good lesson, too, to our kids, right, who right now, you don't have to have that picked. Right? This is what I'm going to do, and that's it. And you can have a plan, but sometimes it changes and evolves, and that's okay. And I was having a conversation with someone recently where we were talking about they're in education, like what are the biggest changes they've seen, recently. And part of it is, years ago, we used to always say failure is not an option, right? So there was a lot of stress on kids, myself included, not wanting to fail. And now there's this shift towards it's okay, learn from your mistakes, those type of things, and part of that is even growing right within your careers and what you end up being. And so you having that path and ended up being in the position that you are in is a great example of that. And so, what's your favorite food?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Okay.
So I like a lot. I changed too, seasonal. It's very seasonal for me.
All right. But if you had to have it, this is
all the time.
All the time, your favorite food. Coming from someone that's in charge of all of our lunches here. I'm
pizza. Something with pizza.
Something with pizza. I thought it was going to be something like fettuccine.
I mean, if I had to have it all the time,
pizza.
I love a good pizza.
Okay.
But I don't have it a lot.
Toppings. What's on your pizza?
Mushrooms, sausage, bacon.
That's good. Yeah, I'm similar. Mushrooms, yeah, but everything else, yeah, I'm similar. I remember when I was high school principal and or there was, you were trying out, like, I think it was pizza with like wheat crust or something like that. It was some different type of pizza. And I didn't like that very much.
Sweet potato, maybe?
Like, the kids loved it, though. So it was something like that. So that goes to show you, though, it's with taste and things like that. And that's why your job, I believe, is one of the hardest. Just trying to figure out, you have like you alluded to earlier, you have the regulations, like state regulations that you have to do, but you're also trying to have a menu where kids like it, right? Where there's something where they like, right? So you mentioned chicken nuggets and chicken bowls and things like that. So that's interesting. So, okay. Favorite person in the district?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to start by saying my 7-year-old niece at Olson Park.
Okay.
It's probably my favorite human in our district.
All right. Shout out to Olson Park and niece. You want to give her name? I mean, or you don't?
Harper
That's okay.
Wallace in Miss
Harper.
Reiner's class.
All right. Shout out.
She's a pretty cool kid.
Okay.
Work-wise, it's hard because I get to work with a lot of fun people. But Chris Bustos over at Rock Cut,
Okay.
Custodial,
Okay. All right.
he is, we drive truck a lot for
Yeah.
our district, and he has been an absolute blast to work with.
Yeah.
Even on my roughest days, he finds a way to make me smile.
That's awesome.
So he's
Yeah, that's awesome. So shout out to Chris, right? Mm-hmm. Chris as well. And that's not easy, driving the truck and picking up things. And I remember, it was my first year, and you were looking for volunteers, and I helped and I volunteered. And the hardest thing, you guys don't know, is like trying to strap those things in and not have them move around. And I'm like, okay. So it is a lot harder than it looks. And I think that's the whole point of, like, I think when you look at people and the jobs that they do, in particular, since this is your segment on foods, like, I think our lunch individuals who are in charge of that make it look so easy, but it's not, right?
They really do make it look
right?
easy,
It just, when you're going through the lines and whether at the high school you're picking out food and things like that, or at the elementary level, you think it's easy. And it's not. Like you mentioned, the preparation, at 6 a.m, just to, and I don't think that's known. Like at our middle school, all of the lunches are made for our elementary schools, right? Like, that's huge, right? And so, say for example, oven goes out at the middle school, right? That's big news, but people will not know that because you're still going to work hard on the back end to make sure that every kid is fed, right? So that's great. So if there's anything that you would want the public to know about food service, right? Because this is all about that food, right? What would you want them to know?
on a school side, I would tell you our health department says we have some of the cleanest kitchens out there. So our staff does an amazing job. Our teams take a lot of pride in their work.
Right. So no behind the scenes if I take a camera and show up and there's like all kinds, none of that.
It's pretty clean.
I've seen some scary videos.
I just met I just met with the vendor for some ovens at the high school, and he walked in, and before he even knew what we were looking at, he said, "Wow, your team does an amazing job with their equipment."
Okay, perfect.
So they really do take a lot of pride in the work that they do and the food that they serve, and I have an awesome team, so I'm pretty lucky about that.
Yeah, no, I know when I was at the high school, I always appreciated the lookout for the bacon sandwiches, just bacon and buns. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud, but yeah, they used to hook me up a little bit. So there you go. All right, so another thing that we have, everyone that comes on, is take a shot on the ESPN basket, and I didn't tell you that.
You did not.
So let's see if you can make that.
So I'm just going to hit this little guy.
Yeah.
Talk about
Everybody
pressure.
got their own techniques. Ooh, if you want to try it again, you can.
No,
if not,
I mean,
that's good. That's good. It's a good shot.
Hey,
All
interesting.
Right. Well, I really appreciate you being on and giving the community a little glimpse behind the curtain, right, as to what goes on. And I would also add to our students who may watch this is to be a little nicer to our food,
our lunch teams.
Our lunch teams, that when they go through the lines and know that it's not an easy job, and they're just there to serve and make sure that they have what they need. And so just be a little nicer and all those good things. It's okay, right? All right, and then also too to make some suggestions if they want.
Yeah, feedback is wonderful. We love
on the menu. I would have kept baked beans, but I'm glad you listened to the student. That's one of the few beans I like, but that's okay. That's my choice. So, but thank you for being on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
That. So again, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Talk 122 with your superintendent. I'm Dr. Terrell Yarbrough, and like always, I am Harlem, you are Harlem, we are Harlem. Thanks for tuning in.